Okay, did Candace Owens just call me and Christian influencers out? Okay, see, we had a whole episode shot hitting upload when we saw this trending all over X. I tracked it down, and I'll let you decide on what the heck is going on in this situation. And her new claims going at Christian influencers who use the Bible are even more outlandish. Take a look for yourself.
Also on the show, been speaking a lot about these quote unquote Christian influencers. Something's not right. God doesn't want you to follow Tucker Carlson on Instagram. Josh Hammer is amazing. Candace is possessed by a demon. You don't want to be possessed by a demon, so unfollow Tucker Carlson and unfollow Candace. And I promise there's no other motivations. Candace is just crazy. You should listen to me. It is what I have noticed. It's what I've been pointing to you all year. Many of these pastors are behaving like operatives, and many of these Christian influencers are behaving like operatives. And I keep telling you that all roads, including the Egyptian, here Israeli planes, lead to the front door of Turning Point USA Faith. I kept saying there's something when Faith suddenly infiltrated and something happened to this organization.
Okay, so we are controlled by operatives. And because we have the woke right challenge telling you not to consume stuff like Candace Owens, which is going to tell you that the system is rigged, you can't get ahead, that we are somehow in on it and connected to foreign cabals and adversaries that are trying to pull the strings and take her down.
Very high up military connections who have these platforms, and all they do is they focus on the Bible. And I'm telling you, there's something wrong. There's just something that is wrong. And you can kind of see the mask slip now because these people purport to care about what happened to Charlie. And the easiest thing is to demand truth. And instead, they're protecting people like Josh Hammer. It's just like such an obviously bad person. He lied. And they'll go out of their way to protect those individuals. That's a psychological operation. That's not the truth. And it's actually, in many ways, the most sadistic of all psychological operations, because what they're doing is they are asserting themselves as we are the most literate in Scripture, so we can tell you whether or not your soul is going to be condemned if you listen to this person or you don't listen to this person. It makes me sick. Like I said, I hold the most contempt for those that hold up the Bible as they criticize people, knowing fully well that they could care less about what's in the Bible, and they just want to take swipes and attack somebody and feel justified in doing it. It's so arrogant. And I think it's also tremendously evil, because there are people that follow you and they are true Christians.
You can't make this up. Okay, so there's a psychological operatives. These people don't care about the Bible. They don't care about you. It's extremely arrogant. Okay, this is amazing. Peak main character syndrome meets peak kettle calling the pot black syndrome, like combined in one. Okay, now, I don't know if she's talking about Frank Turek. I don't know if this is just about Turning Point Faith. I don't know, but listen, if she's talking about me, absolutely, woke right challenge. Turn this nonsense off. Second of all, for the record, I have never, ever had high up military connections. I've never had foreign money. I've never got a $7,000 check or shekels from Israel. All of this stuff is completely nonsense. Listen, Candace, we think you are limited in your ability to reason and critically think through these situations. And furthermore, when you have almost every sensible person agreeing that the way you're coming to these conclusions, which are logical fallacies, would imply that, sis, you have some issues in this, not us. We're pointing people back to Scripture. We're saying, let's reason with each other. We're saying these things aren't adding up. And for the record, if you're still listening to this absolute brain rot, let me tell you something. When she is positioned as the one in authority that has the secret and true knowledge, then everyone else who's spoken out about this, who is actually well-versed in the Scriptures, has been walking with Jesus way longer than she, has a consistent record of on-the-ground ministry, is dismissed as, oh, they're in on it. They're a part of some crazy psyop. Perhaps she should consider that she's the one that looks like she's building a cult. And again, John McCrae has done an amazing job of this. So we're talking about people who have anybody that's ever been in North County, San Diego, San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside area knows I've consistently done boots on the ground ministry for 2 decades. When you look at the folks that have spoken out about some of this stuff, everyone from Nate Sala to What Do You Meme, you name it in the Christian space. Okay, Frank Turek, these are folks with decades and decades and decades long, consistent ministries online and offline. And so I think she's positioning this stuff as a cult leader, straight up. Like, I don't think she's the only one that has all the answers and everyone else is wrong. And how we dare touch the Lord's anointed, how we dare say something critical about the Queen Bee, Candace Owens. It's awful. And so I just want to set the record straight. Okay, let's get into our actual show. Cenat just went through a very public transformation and recently started talking more about his mental health, his goals, how those things aren't always aligning, and it didn't sit well with a huge chunk of his audience. Many people turning on him. Now, for context, the reason why we're talking about this is Cenat has been very open about his faith in Jesus, and it's interesting to see the dynamic that probably plays into this. Check this out.
No matter what religion you believe in, look, Jesus Christ is real. Yo, I'm literally living in it. Like, bro. God, I just hope this is one of the greatest months that I've ever do, and I just want my supporters and the community that I've grown with to just completely enjoy this entire month.
Now, some people would say, oh, that's a pop faith in Jesus, but nevertheless, this has led even false stories to spread about him, including Nike taking away a deal because of his faith that he had to end up going to debunk later. But recently, he was at the Streamer Award show and doubled down about him pointing to God as the greatest.
Most importantly, though, keep God. Keep God first.
It's interesting to hear some folks in the crowd kind of talking over him while other people were agreeing. But it wasn't what he said after the award show. It was what he said at the award show and then some reflections he gave on his 24th birthday that has caused some folks in his audience to kind of push back a bit.
I appreciate everybody who decided to vote for me for this award. One thing I wanted to say to you guys tonight is I hope a lot of creators in here and everybody at home and the viewers and the streamers really take care of your mental health. I just noticed that recently I just been going through things in my head.
And then he expanded more on his mental health and the root cause of it. Check this out.
A few days ago, I spread awareness on mental health and how important it is to take care of yourself. And honestly, for the past few months, I've been struggling with mental health out of self-doubt and fright of pursuing goals that I really want to achieve. And the reason I've really been in my head is because I just want to do more. I've gained to realize that I'm a true creator and I'm very passionate about creating. And I have other goals and things that I just want to achieve and do more of.
Now, before we get into some of the backlash from his audience, it's interesting to note the stark contrast, not just in his appearance, but in his overall demeanor online. And we'll probably get a bit of insight into why that is here in a second. But this is kind of who Kai was known for being before.
I'm the baddest that you have ever seen in your life. I can take like this, but guess what? I got something to tell you. The little you can f with me if you wanted to. These is special, these is red bottom, these is bloody shoes. It's just Chewy. Thanks for the 50 gifted. Hey, Jarvis, open matters.
So there's a clear change between who he was and Faith still kind of being involved in that to who he is now. And many people are attributing that to the fact that Kai said he's been speaking better because he's been reading. And he posted Atomic Habits, which is a great book, by the way. He says, notice I've been speaking better because I've been reading. Now, the interesting thing here is seeing aspects of his audience start to turn on him because they feel like he's using mental health, I guess, to I don't know, build his brand. This gets really bizarre. Okay, so this is another streamer named Digital Trap GEM that kind of crashes out on Kai a bit.
And the reason I've really been in my head is because...
First of all, buddy, let me tell you something. This sounds scripted as
I would love to show you guys what I've been working on for the past few months through my more personal page, which is KC3 Hidden.
Hold the f up, bro. Did you just come up with this whole mental health narrative to push your Instagram page? Do you have no limits, Kai? How low can you go, bro?
Okay. The idea that Kai has to use mental health to push an Instagram page, I don't know. I think this is where the logic breaks down, personally. And then you have folks saying stuff like this. A multimillionaire who works the easiest possible job in the world, venting to his peon followers about his mental health as a marketing tactic to sell a new product. Cenat is faking his mental health issues for clout. This then led to even conspiracies forming, like this one. I don't know, seems something off about Cenat. I hope he's okay. So it's interesting to see how fast success can become a trap and how fast, if you aren't maneuvering and behaving the way people have expected you to behave, can create backlash. In one clip, you have Cenat as a teenager in a pink robe, chaos, nonstop stimulation, pushing the limits. And on the other side, you see someone that's reading books is more composed, thinking, being more articulate, all those things. And it's a stark contrast for many of his audience. But this is what happens when success outpaces values. Pursuing achievement without restraints, pursuing growth without meaning will eventually take a toll on your mental health. But it's interesting that Kai, in that original video from his birthday, said that the reason he's struggling with mental health is because he wants to do more.
And the reason I really been in my head is because I just wanted to do more.
Interesting to consider when we examine what the scriptures say about Jesus ultimately being our rest. We see verses like this in Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I think the tough part is we've seen folks go down this path before, well-meaning folks like Kai who say they love Jesus. But here's the deal. Ambition by itself won't save you if it's not anchored to something deeper. It can actually lead you straight into more despair. So I don't think this Kai situation is a downfall story at all. I think it's actually a warning for many of us that want to do something with our time, our talent, our treasure, that desire to do something for God and to make the most of these things. However, all of this has to be anchored in which scripture connects to the idea of ambition. In 1 Thessalonians 4, Paul is writing the church in Thessalonica. They're going through it. Many folks are starting to get apathetic because there's persecution, and they're kind of waiting for Jesus to come back any minute, and they're letting their day-to-day life go. Now, within this, he redirects that desire, and he says, and in fact, you do love all of God's family throughout Macedonia, yet we urge you, brothers and sisters, to do so more and more. Paul is needing the church in Thessalonica to step it up so they can care for the church in Macedonia, which is going through some really serious financial hardship, right? And he makes it this point in verse 11, he says, and make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with desiring more or desiring to be faithful with what you've been given, but it says to make your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your own hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders and so that you will not be dependent on anybody. Okay, so make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. Mind your own business, work with your own hands, just as we told you, so that our daily life may win the respect of outsiders and so that you will not be dependent on anyone. This is the direction that we see in scripture regarding ambition and what I call godly ambition. I wrote a whole book about it. You should check it out. And ultimately, it's pointing us to being faithful, but not pursuing status and acclaim for the sake of status and acclaim. But there should be a desire for stewardship or management, because ultimately our lives are not our own, our gifts are not our own. And Jesus says in Luke chapter 16:10, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? So I love that Kai is saying, man, I feel unsettled, but perhaps that unsettled feeling isn't just to quote unquote do more, but perhaps that unsettling feeling is from the rest that we have available to us in Jesus, that then the overflow of that is faithfulness and stewardship with what we've been given. In John 15, verse 4, Jesus says, remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. It is interesting that in that passage, Jesus is saying that our fruit is the byproduct of remaining in him. If we go back to verse 5 for a minute and we examine this, we could actually jump into the original language. This is our trusty Logos Bible software, which by the way is giving all you guys a free 60-day trial. This software used to cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for Bible scholars and theologians and pastors. Now it's $12 a month after you get your free 60-day trial. And so big shout out to Logos. But listen, we can do really cool stuff like this, like search what the meaning of different words are, or this little thing right here, which is going to tell us in verse 16, this repeats, right? And so let's look up this word right here, bear much fruit. I want to know what that word much means. I could hit study, and it'll take me to the original Greek here, and much is
Police.
police, much, great, many, a great number, extensive. And we could see that this is literally saying great fruit, greater fruit, large amounts of fruit. And if we go all the way down, we could see the etymology of the word. This is why I love Logos Bible Software, because we could see all these sorts of things. And then we could see every other time that word is used in the New Testament, which is pretty amazing. I say all this to say, because I don't think Kai is so unique just because he's a celebrity and he's wealthy. I think these are things that many of us struggle with. Perhaps what he's dealing with is just at scale because he is a celebrity and he is very influential and powerful and wealthy. But I think on different scales, we're all dealing with this. So anyway, pray for Kai and let me know if you relate to some of this same conversation regarding wanting more, but kind of doing it outside of a biblical framework. Now, quick note before we keep going, if you're new here, my name is Ruslan KD. I'm so grateful you're here. This is my new daily show. We don't have a name for it. If you have a name suggestion, drop it in the comments. Also, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. We basically are breaking down culture, faith, success, and the ideas that are shaping real life, ultimately, hopefully, pointing you guys back to living a life that blesses God. All the topics from today's show will be listed in the timestamps. But you know what's interesting about this entire thing is this is the same pattern that doesn't just happen in personal success. It also overflows to public confidence, which is going to get us into our next topic. When certainty outpaces humility, people don't just burn out. They start making bold claims that don't age well, which brings us to Tucker Carlson and a prediction about Venezuela that's now crashing into reality. So Tucker Carlson made a very confident prediction, not a maybe, not a this could happen, a strong claim about where America was headed. And here's the thing. When someone with this much influence makes a prediction like this, it shapes how millions of people see the world. So this is a clip from Tucker Carlson talking about America going to war with Venezuela. And by the way, we got Zach Sprazzo in the house.
Hey, Venezuela, huh?
Venezuela. Let's jump into it.
My life is a kind of unbroken chain of bad predictions and embarrassing analysis.
Is Trump going to start a war in Venezuela?
Members of Congress were briefed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9 o'clock by the president.
That was yesterday.
Okay.
And he claimed that Trump, who was going to announce this war, was going to make it at his address. Now, theories are going around that perhaps this was a leaked piece of information.
Like, so it wasn't necessarily, maybe they're not ready to announce it. Maybe it will come. Mm-hmm. We were also watching it, wondering if it was a deep fake.
Well, we did see a deep fake, but that's neither here
that was
nor
separately.
there.
Okay, cool.
Him talking about making all these predictions is hilarious and nailing it.
Like he knows that he makes bad predictions. I wonder if there's a might as well just throw out another one. Like,
yeah. Well, this also reminds me of when they were so adamant that there was going to be boots on the ground in Iran and America was going to war with Iran and Israel tricked America into going war. I mean, this was, again, far left, far right.
Yeah.
This is everyone from Candace Owens to Crystal Ball completely melting down about Iran, war with Iran. And what happened? We struck a couple nuclear facilities. We showed strength.
Easy.
Right? And that was it.
You know, we ruled with an iron fist.
All right, play this trumpet.
Okay.
Well, I think the message this evening is we inherited a mess, and we've done a great job, and we continue to. And our country is going to be stronger than ever before, very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
I've been wrong so many times, and I will be in the future, without question. My life is...
Okay, in a lighter note, this is us almost getting got by this deep AI fake, which almost got me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela. My sources were wrong. I just wanted to share how it is that I got the information, if you allow me. Last night I had a dream. President Maduro came to me in the dream and he said, Tucker, President...
Pause. This is fake. This is fake, okay?
Yeah. And they're playing off the Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk came to me in a dream.
Trump is declaring a war on Venezuela. I need your help, Tucker. The dream was so real that I had to check if it was true or not. So I called Candace Owens. She said that all dreams are totally credible sources of information. That's where she gets all her information from. So now I know we're definitely going to war with Venezuela. I had to check with a government source one last time before I leaked this totally credible information. So I called Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she said, Tucker, you go ahead and leak that information. I also had a dream about it. So that's basically what happened.
Okay, so there's a theory going around.
That's funny.
There's a theory going around that this was potentially leaked to him on purpose, and I don't quite understand why, but perhaps like trolling him, giving him some false information for him to say it with such certainty and such confidence, and then it's all fake.
Just the plan. So, okay. So that's what they're doing. And so what is the interest with Venezuela? Have they been in the crosshairs recently with something else related, or is this complete just like nonsense?
Yeah, so the Venezuela conflict is all about oil.
Oh, so this is like Iraq conspiracy.
It's not Iraq. It was not conspiracy. They found oil off the shores in this disputed territory, Guyana. All right, it's a 100-year conflict, and then it eventually is intensifying because the president is asking citizens of Venezuela should claim the territory, and they don't like that.
So he's saying become a territory of the United States so that we can come and check your oil.
He wants the oil territory for Venezuela.
Oh wow.
Exxon apparently discovered the oil territory.
And so then the other option is possibly war. Or that's what the conspiracies are. Like they're going to go to war with Venezuela next to capture all the oil.
Well, I mean, he did send some Navy ships out there. I think Trump sent some Navy ships out there.
Wow.
Yeah, they're framing it as anti-imperialist and they're resisting the West and all this sort of stuff. But the reality is that their military is weak. And there's also the overlap of some of the stuff that's coming out of Venezuela that Trump is claiming.
Okay.
Yeah, so he said that they have, they're emptying their prisons. They're sending all the violent criminals here. Then you can get into the rabbit hole of like, are NGOs partnering with this sort of stuff? And then it's creating all this tension to get migrants here. And so that's what he's pointing at is the gang members and the drugs. They found a bunch of boats with drugs on them. So that's the kind of the general gist of the conflict.
Okay. So frame it as a migration problem with, substances and
fentanyl, all that sort of stuff.
Scary people, and then go and get their oil.
Maybe get the oil. I mean, that's kind of where we fumbled with going to Iraq, right? We just went over there and just demolished all that and came home with nothing.
Came home with no oil.
Where's the oil?
Where's the oil?
That was the thing. Listen, that was a terrible war, but that was the conspiracy back then. It's like, oh, we're just going there to get their oil. But we never got any oil.
Yeah. We didn't capture anything.
Nothing. Came back empty-handed, trillions in debt.
Where's our conquering? Come on.
No imperialism here, bud.
Yeah, seriously. What's up with Tucker Carlson then? Why, is there validity to the claim? Is there something that might come out? Do you think he was just flying off the cuff?
So apparently this is saying that there was no leak, there was no 5D chess. That was the initial thing. It's like, oh, President Trump's playing 5D chess by leaking information to make Tucker look like a fool. But apparently they've been talking about what the speech was about for a while, which is like, I inherited a mess and I made it better over the last 11 months. That was the gist of his speech. He put up a bunch of charts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So it's not. So basically Tucker Carlson's kind of just flowing. He just wants a hot take.
Yep.
He's cutting a clip.
Yep. Which leads us to our daily proverb. Proverbs 18, because it's December 18th at the shooting of this video. Before a downfall, the heart is haughty, but humility comes before honor. If we click here, you can see all the cross references in the Logos Bible software where that other references is regarding humility before honor. Humility precedes honor. To answer before listening, that is folly and shame. Okay, so this idea that haughtiness of the heart is what usually comes before a downfall, right? Being so certain. And that's the thing about social media and media in general online is like everyone is so certain about everything. Yeah. It's like such confidence. It really does remind me of the kind of fundamentalist frame of how they talk about everything. It's like everything is binary, black or white, all or nothing, certainty.
Yeah.
And then when you get exposed for something like this, you just kind of retreat and you don't say nothing, you don't own it. I'll be shocked if Tucker Carlson owns any of this.
Yeah, not to mention it's like setting people off for that period of time while they think it's real.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, he said it so confidently.
Right.
So it must be real.
Right.
And they go tell all their family, hey, just so you know, we're about to go to war with Venezuela tonight at 9 p.m.
Yeah, it's wild. And this brings us to a pattern, a lot of what we've seen lately. One of the most interesting parts of influence, especially in this climate, isn't the claims being made themselves. It's what happens after the claims start falling apart. How does the person respond? Do they clarify or do they pivot? And that's exactly what people are noticing right now with Candace Owens. So filling in Zach a little bit, after Candace met with Erica Kirk,
Okay.
she kind of walked back, Turning Point being a godforsaken company and people should ask for refunds.
Okay.
Her audience turned on her. They started crashing out on her. They said she now felt fake and gay, just like a complete, utter insanity.
Yeah.
And so instead of apologizing for the stuff she said about Turning Point, she kind of played both sides. And then she gaslit her fans
Okay.
while then giving them options and ways to support her and her rising security cost.
Come on. This is amazing.
Can't make this up. All right, so this is her before she went live,
Okay.
talking about just kind of gaslighting people.
Sorry, got cut off there, but I sense their panic, and we all sense their panic right now, and they're like trying to like push this last piece of the psychological operation, which is like, don't believe in any politicians. Even Candace has sold out. Like Candace is sold out. She took the money.
So that's what her crowd is saying. This is what you built.
It's like what you always say. It's like whatever you do in moderation, your audience will do in excess.
Yes.
So she's gaslighting her fans with this little voice of like, oh, everyone's sold out. Even Candace has sold out.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying that like that's the most egregious thing because from her perspective, she's like, I know I didn't sell out.
Right.
But she doesn't realize that exact voice is the exact voice that she sounds like to all these other people that she's claiming they need refunds from Turning Point. All these the cabal, the government took out Charlie Kirk.
Oh, she's about to get into Zionism here in a second.
Okay.
This is a mind game, and I am telling you, we are very close. Like we are so close.
She's been saying this for 3 months. We're so close. This is so sad.
Yeah.
Like I'm smiling and I'm laughing because it's so sad that like this is all in the back of her quote unquote close friend getting taken out.
Yikes.
Genuinely believe the feds were fully involved at every layer.
The feds were fully involved at every layer.
So she's like reattributing her allegiance to her previous, perspective because just in case, the audience is actually, crashing out on me. I need to make sure they know that I still think it's a lie.
Of this, and we're going to go back to Camp Huachuca, the Fort Huachuca, Fort Huachuca in Arizona, that story that we told that made the feds freak out in the first place. Like this episode right here, you're going to walk away and you're just going to be like, you know what? Respect you, Candace. Respect to the game.
Okay, so what's interesting is that when you have Alex Jones saying, like, you're out of control, this isn't how these things work. If there is going to be a conspiracy, it's going to be compartmentalized. You're not going to work in thousands and thousands of people at every layer of government. It just doesn't make any sense. So she's not even good at doing the thing.
Yeah. Alex Jones is like, I know how to lose an entire company with a bad conspiracy claim. This is not how you do it. That wasn't too bad.
Now, Pierce Morgan, of course, called her out on this. We looked a little bit of this yesterday.
Yeah.
But before we get there, we got the merch part is the best part. By the way, all you goobers, you're like, why are you selling me prayer journals and trying to get me to read my Bible? Meh. Okay. I'd rather spend my money with the crazies or with the pagans that hate me. Okay. And by the way, you already missed the shipping deadline for our Bless God Christmas sale, but you can still pick yourself up a Devo,
a New Year journal,
a Devo, any that sort of stuff. But check out her and the way she pitches her merch. You can't make this stuff up.
Okay.
Yes, we also received a ton of emails of people asking us, what are you doing about security? Can we help you with security? We did actually create, for people who don't want to maybe buy our awesome gear, we have tons of awesome kit that you can get on the website. But if you'd like to just give a gift to support our security and what we're doing, you now have that option. You can go to Candace Owens.
Support our security.
So I was wrong. It actually wasn't merch.
Okay. This is just donations.
You could just now give donations.
Yeah. Why wait for something to get shipped off to you and this whole process when you can just get the satisfaction of departing with your money for nothing?
That's right.
That's instant gratification.
And you can help support Candace security.
Yeah.
I mean, she might as well file a 501c3B and start a nonprofit.
Come on, somebody.
She
could hold the church service depending on the denomination.
.com/support. And these are obviously very serious conversations that we are having because Charlie just got assassinated in broad daylight. And I feel like everyone is sort of signaling that they want me and Tucker. Like when you don't want to be name checked.
Now, I don't want anything to happen to her and Tucker.
Obviously.
For the record, that would be awful. However,
my suspicion is
starting a GoFundMe for your security.
Yeah.
When you're raking in tens of millions of dollars from this.
My suspicion is you could probably already afford security.
On top of her husband being worth $250 million.
Yeah.
Let me just show you guys. This is
married filing separately.
So this is vidIQ. These are quick channel stats. This is an estimate. Okay, this is an estimate. In the last 7 days, she has gotten 26 million views. We don't know if those views are shorts or if those views are longs. Okay, but this is what vidIQ is estimating that her channel was making, between 176,000 to 528,000 per month. That's not counting brand integrations. That's not counting super chats.
Yes.
That's not counting any of that. So I would argue that it's probably at least double this.
Yeah.
Probably double this. Okay. And she has a GoFundMe on her website. I mean, she doesn't literally have a GoFundMe because there's misinformation. She doesn't have a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
But she's basically crowdsourcing funds for security.
Yeah, I just did the math on a because AdSense is up right now, so YouTube is probably paying her around $12 per 1,000 views, and so at $12 per 1,000 views at 15 million views, let's say that 11 million views are from her shorts, then that would be $180,000 for the month in AdSense revenue alone, and that's not including everything you just mentioned. So I think that that low end of the vidIQ estimates probably pretty good, and if that is 26 million long form views, or her RPM is even higher, meaning what YouTube's paying her, it could easily be in the multiple six figures.
And before we wrap this Candace bit, we have to just acknowledge this beauty right here. Again, shout out to Milk Bar TV for putting this together. This is her on Piers Morgan yesterday.
Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. I didn't say that they Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in it.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
He's like, no, you didn't. You did not say that.
You said there was people complicit.
And she's like, no, my exact words were, that's bold.
Meanwhile,
yeah,
Tyler Robinson is in court for the first time wearing a flag tie.
Okay.
And they got the documentation of what Charlie said the night before, which was the left is going to kill me or trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Okay, not they or not Israel or not the Zionists or not Jewish donors, the left. Yeah. And she doesn't want to investigate any of that.
Yeah. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most reasonable.
Yeah.
It's what it's funny. It's what Chris was saying. A lot of people are like, Tyler Robinson's text messages, something seems off. That's not how someone normal communicates. He was like, yeah, he shot somebody. He's not a normal person.
Yeah, play the rest of this.
Oh, you didn't.
Thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that on my entire show.
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen.
You said complicit in the... Because I said who at Turning Point was involved in his...
Let me clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I'm saying. Okay. When I was using the analogy of
wait. You can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I'm saying. What isn't what you're saying to me? Just what you just said it.
She thinks conversation's like an iMessage where you can undo send. And she's like, I'm gonna rewrite it a little bit.
Okay, and we were connecting it. I was basically pushing back on you because you were suggesting that all of these people being involved would be crazy. So I was applying the analogy.
I said I don't know.
JFK. Well, you actually, if you go back and listen,
I said I don't know JFK's assassination, and we recently had a lot of the files released, which did not conclusively prove any of these things. Right now, again, I don't know what happened to JFK.
No,
make it clear.
Piers, I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts.
Candace, let me spell out my thought very.
Had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. My entire
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
I really think you're not holding on to your thoughts.
Candace, let me spell out my thought very.
Obviously, for this to have been.
Yeah,
this edit is amazing. Shout out to Milk Bar TV. Yeah, but this is the fruit of this sort of thinking. This is the fruit of this confidence and this certainty. And I know, and I don't know, but I know, and my vibes and my intuition and my dreams.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
good for her.
Good for her. And speaking of a trans flag that Tyler Robinson was wearing on his tie when he was in court, this leads us to our next topic, which is RFK announcing he just signed a directive banning transformer surgeries, okay? And all quote unquote gender affirming care. This is a big deal. This conversation about personal convictions being absolute truth and vibes and instincts and all this sort of stuff, it's not without consequence. And it's just bizarre to see it like seep into the right, where this was, this community over here was the facts don't care about your feelings and this sort of stuff. And that's like all feelings.
Yeah.
But because we mainly saw this from the progressive left with stuff like whatever a child feels, whatever a 5-year-old feels, therefore they are, whatever a 10-year-old feels, we're going to stop them from entering puberty because they feel like they're the quote unquote opposite gender. So RFK is now actually walking some of this back. And by the way, I don't agree with this dude on everything, but I think this is a huge, huge step in the right direction. Okay.
Doctors assume a solemn obligation to protect children. Yet doctors across the country now provide needless and irreversible rejecting procedures that violate their sacred Hippocratic oath by endangering the very lives that they are sworn to safeguard. The American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics peddled the lie that chemical and surgical rejecting procedures could be good for children who suffer from gender dysphoria.
He said they peddled a lie.
Yeah. Was he for this in the past? Like a long time ago?
I don't think so. I know he got checked on the baby deletion issue.
Okay, yeah.
And he kind of walked some of that back.
Yeah.
Right? But this was a lifelong Democrat. Now people are going to say he's MAGA and whatever. And this is harmful and phobic and all this nonsense. But he said he straight up peddled a lie.
Yikes.
They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. So-called gender-affirming care has inflicted lasting physical and psychological damage on vulnerable young people. This is not medicine, it is malpractice.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. This is not medicine, this is malpractice. Yeah.
We're done with junk science driven by ideological pursuits, not the well-being of children. A peer-reviewed report published by the HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health last month confirms that rejecting procedures impose medical dangers and lasting harm.
The tricky part is they don't want to do studies to see the long-term consequences on this, and the very limited studies that they've done over in it's either in Denmark or Sweden. It's one of the Scandinavian nations, which is very pro affirming of all this sort of stuff. They found out that folks who went through with transitioning end up having higher risk of self-deletion later down the road than folks who did not transition and live in the opposite gender.
Yeah. Wow. It's insane.
On children who receive these interventions. So today we are taking 6 decisive actions guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This morning,
which by the way, if you're melting down about this, I thought you guys weren't doing surgeries on children anyway.
Yeah.
Why are you so upset?
Yeah.
Because that's what every time, no one's doing surgery to baby. No, children. No. You gotta wait till you're 18. And then it's like, well, then why would you be upset that there's a ban on surgeries until you're 18?
Exactly. Yeah. Because they know there's some getting through, and they're like, it's where the culture's going, dude. It's restricting transformer rights.
Signed a declaration. Rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Yeah. One time for RFK, I think it's a huge step in the right direction. But here's the deal. I guarantee you there'll be comments in this video.
Okay.
Ruslan, why are you talking about politics more? Why are you talking about politics? Because you shouldn't be talking about politics. It's like, bro, when these sorts of issues impact day-to-day people, not just impact day-to-day people, impact my children.
Yeah.
If you want to send your kids to a public school, especially in a big city, big state, you know what they're going to teach them? They're going to teach them gay civic studies.
Yeah.
They're going to teach them affirming stuff as early as first grade.
Yeah.
Right? And so That's why, because these things are not without consequence. So if we're not actively speaking out about this, the culture is going to go crazy and crazier off the rails with this sort of stuff.
Who was it that said, my theology isn't becoming more political, the politics is becoming more theological?
Pastor Jeff said that at Rhythm, but I think Josh Howerton is who I may have heard it from first.
Yeah, that as well. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so these things have consequences. These things have, downstream effects that impact people. And then you are in a environment where there's a social contagion and this stuff is celebrated, and parents think doing the loving thing, the empathetic thing, is to enable and encourage their children's delusion.
Yikes. Yeah.
And then guess what happens? Then they're going around and they're claiming to be something. They're claiming to be non-binary. They're claiming to be this. They're claiming to be that.
Yeah.
So these things have consequences.
Yeah. That's insane. I have a just asking questions conspiracy.
Okay.
Unrelated.
Okay.
About RFK's voice.
Okay.
Can I segue here for a second?
Last time you said something about his voice, you got torched.
So this
don't do the
this is redeeming. This is redeeming.
All right.
Okay. The Kennedys have historically been assassinated, correct?
I mean, like a couple of them, not all of them.
His dad, his uncle.
Yeah.
He's like kind of next in line.
2.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, why did he make it through? Why did the cabal stop caring? Why did the feds stop caring about taking out the rest of the Kennedys? And I thought, who else have you heard of having a vocal challenge because of a neurological condition? Very little. What if he was poisoned and it was a failed attempt at an assassination? And now his voice is affected and he thinks it's just a neurological condition, but in reality, it was a neurological condition set off by the cabal poisoning him. It's a thought.
That's a crazy segue. I just want to say that is crazy.
While we're talking about RFK and we're here, let's just talk. Let's get it all the cards on the table.
You know what we do need to do a video about is, maybe we'll do this tomorrow.
Okay.
Is what they did to, was it RFK's aunt?
What did they do
with the frontal lobotomy?
Oh, they did a frontal. Was that the cabal too, or is that her? Was that her parents?
No.
It was like, oh, she has anxiety, so we need to do a frontal lobotomy.
It was Rosemary Kennedy,
this daughter of J.
Yeah, this is
PK.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this would be his aunt. There was a craze way back in the day with frontal lobotomies as a treatment for mental health. And it was brutal. What they would do is they would take like almost like an ice pick, put it right here, and then pop it, and then it would go through and mess up or treat a section of your frontal lobe, and then it would no. She became a vegetable.
Oh no! I mean,
became a vegetable.
They're just pop in your brain. And be like, well, let's hope it works.
They thought it worked, and they did thousands and thousands and thousands to treat mental illness, bipolar, schizophrenia.
And all these people became
that are
vegetables?
just the vast majority of them became vegetables. Yeah. Now I say that because I am going to do a video on this tomorrow. Let me know if you guys want to see a video on this.
Yeah.
Because when or Monday, when I was debating Destiny, my claim, which oddly enough probably disagrees with RFK's position on this, is what we're doing to the unborn. Is we're going to look back at it the way we look back at frontal lobotomies now.
Yeah.
Okay. And Destiny's claim when I debated him was like, no, frontal lobotomies did a lot of good and they served a lot of people well.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. Like I saw a whole thing about it and how messed up
you
people
were.
The
resources.
Yeah, these doctors were completely torched. And so I still hold to that position that, like, I think the way we treat the unborn today is going to be the way we look at frontal lobotomies, whatever, 70 years ago.
To like understand what was happening.
Yeah. And he tried to pass it off as like, no, frontal lobotomies are good. This is when I debated him on No Jumper. So maybe we'll do a flashback episode.
That's good.
Tomorrow.
That's good.
Anyway, I say the thing about the lobotomy because history is full of moments where we look back and ask, how did we ever think that was compassionate? And the uncomfortable truth is we don't usually realize it until real people start paying a real price. That's not theoretical. It's happening right now, which brings us to an update from our friend Mike Winger, who is giving us an update on the persecution situation in Nigeria and a very real threat planned for Christmas. Okay, so we're going to jump right into this. Mike Winger gave me a shout earlier today. He is actually in the Arizona area for AmFest, which is the Turning Point events. And so he put this up as a short, and then we're going to look some more on the developing situation in Nigeria. If you guys didn't see yesterday's video, there is reports of a planned Christmas attack against Christians in Nigeria. Okay, so here is an update.
I have an important update. 2 days ago, I warned you guys that there was coming attacks in Nigeria. We gave the names of specific towns that are going to be targeted by attacks. The Nigerian government had been warned ahead of time, and it's already started. Just after my video went up, 12 Nigerian Christians were lined up by Muslim terrorists. They were shot through the heart, execution style, and murdered.
And sure enough, this is already on X. This is from yesterday. I can't show you guys the pictures, but they're terrible. Breaking news, Save Nigeria group has received reports of gruesome attacks on innocent 10 miners in Nigeria. 12 people were killed last night, December 16th, at a mining site. We condemn this heinous act. And then there's this video. This is who Mike is referencing, the gentleman who is reporting a lot of boots on the ground stuff. Check this out.
Hello, everybody. This is Judd Saul from Equipping the Persecuted. I'm the executive director. I'm also the founder.
Judd's been doing a really, really good job of making sure that these stories are getting out.
Of TruthNigeria.com. You know, I warned you. I warned everybody last week. When I was in Washington, D.C. on events both Tuesday and Wednesday, and also on my meetings on Thursday, I told everybody that I had intelligence that Fulani Islamic were gathering along the Nasarawa Plateau border, around the Nasarawa-Kaduna border, and around the Nasarawa-Benue border, with the plans to attack Bokos in Plateau, Barkin-Ladi in Plateau, and Riom in Plateau, and Kafachan in Kaduna, and the Agatu region in Benue. And I said that they were gathering. We had intelligence that they were moving. They're gathering in places ready for attacks. Well, I gave everybody the warning. You guys saw me do this, and I came out with a video saying there is going to be attacks around Christmas, that they're planning on Christians on Christmas. I sent it to the United States government, people in the State Department. Several people had this information. The president of Nigeria himself, Tinubu, said that my intelligence was lies.
And of course, what happened? What he said, the intelligence he said he had happened. Shout out to Judd for the amazing work he's doing. Yeah, this is awful.
Well, guess what, guys? Sadly, I've been proven right. 12 Christians were killed last night in Barkin-Ladi.
There's a broader conversation that's happening around this with, the killing of Nigerian Christians underscores Islam is incompatible with safety and freedom, which I think is a very fair and reasonable take. Of course, that's gonna Islamophobia. How dare you? How dare you say the obvious? Let's go back to Mike Winger's video and let him unpack this as well from his perspective.
There's probably a lot more to come. This is just small potatoes compared to the stuff that we expect down the road, based on the reporting from people in country, through TruthNigeria.com, and through the ministry of Judd Saul. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is go to the description and watch the video that I produced the other day, because it's very important that you take the action steps so that we appeal to our government to try to intervene, or at least create pressure, or do a drone strike or something to defend these people from. Because the government, believe this or not, the government came out, the president of Nigeria came out and said that Judd Saul was lying.
Right.
And right after that, 12 Christians were. So what we need to do is take action and realize that there's an information war, and we need truth to get out.
Yeah. Amen. I'll show you guys the website, TruthNigeria.com. And again, they've been documenting all this stuff for a while, the different groups getting attacked, them denying this sort of information. And then in a pinned comment of this video, if you scroll down, we have this for you guys. So go to congress.gov, scroll down into your state email representative, and then copy and paste this and send it over to your state representative so they know exactly what is happening, using your voice, the influence you have, the good ambition to make a change you and I have to help persecuted brothers and sisters that the world is forgetting about. Because here's the deal. Unlike some of the other global news that is happening or global attacks that are happening, this isn't trendy. You see, this doesn't fit the perfect oppressed narrative that is often coming out of the Middle East and the tragedies that are there and the colonial powers oppressing the poor people. Like, this doesn't fit that narrative. This is Christians getting persecuted. And unfortunately, the world, most of the world, are taking a blind eye to this. They're not looking at it. They're not engaging with it. When this was presented to the UN, which again has used the word very freely, they're still arguing over this, right? There's a quote unquote complex security involving various armed groups, climate pressures, and resources. Like, why is the UN not saying anything about this? As the time is recording, the UN has not officially issued a report that formally classifies the violence in Nigeria as against Christians. The characterization of the violence has primarily been made by U.S. government, oddly enough, Trump and people here stepping out. And so they're saying it's more complex. So you see the double standards with this sort of stuff? That when it's Christians, all of a sudden we're being very careful when it's a complex situation. But when it's Arabs or other folks, it's definitely a, it's absolutely a, like, it's just so weird, the double standards with this sort of stuff. And what's frustrating is how all this kind of feels disconnected from real life until it doesn't. Until the same type of selective outrage shows up in everyday life, which leads us to the lady who was working at Target and ended up having a customer completely crash out on her for wearing a Charlie Kirk shirt, which I believe she was able to wear. Her manager was fine with it, but yet nevertheless, she ends up, getting cussed out by this lady for wearing a shirt that says freedom. And we covered that in yesterday's video. Well, the beautiful part is her response to all this, the way she responds to all this with grace, and ultimately saying that she doesn't want that lady fired or harassed, which is, I mean, it's awesome to see this sort of stuff play out in real life. So let's take a look at this real quick.
I know people are calling for her to be fired for this. Do you think that that's right? Would you like that to happen?
No, I don't think that's right. Like, one saying I have is, two wrongs don't make a right. She wronged me, but I don't want to wrong her, or I don't want her wrong, because it's not going to make it right.
That's good. That's good. I mean, what a heart of compassion and mercy, right? Because this lady definitely could get dragged on the internet and all that good stuff, but praise God for this sweet old lady saying, no, two wrongs don't make a right. And
that was her opinion. But she's the one that put it on Facebook or put it on on that. So, but I really wouldn't want to see somebody lose their job over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that she said that, and I love that she's not mad about it. She's hurt probably, as any person would be, but she's not mad about it. And I think that's what the scriptures call us to. We see this in Ephesians 32, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as in Christ God forgave you, right? This is in the context of Paul writing the church in Ephesus and encouraging the church to forgive one another. But I don't think this is just to those within the church. We see this in Jesus's Lord's Prayer when he's teaching people how to pray in Matthew chapter 6. This is a fun thing, by the way, those of you guys that are parents, to try and get your kids to memorize this. We're going through it as a family right now. The Lord's Prayer, which, by the way, is very, it's slightly different in the NIV than the New King James. I came up on the New King James. This is then how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. So this idea of forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors, right? This is a theme all throughout scripture. But I want to make sure that I'm like drawing home the point at the same time that like forgiveness doesn't mean that we pretend that stuff didn't happen. I mean, that lady was sinned against, right? And so that's sometimes I would say the toxic version of forgiveness is then you could reposition yourself to be in situations that are actually harmful. So I'm not saying that either, but I do think there's something beautiful to the idea of extending forgiveness, but maintaining boundaries, right? So like forgiveness releases the debt, but ultimately boundaries protect the future. And Jesus absolutely calls us to forgive freely and to walk wisely. And the idea of forgiveness, I think, forces us into asking deeper questions. Like, what is ultimately driving us? What is ultimately causing us? Where is our heart towards the Lord, towards ministry, our own motives? And that segues perfectly into our daily call-in section, where we talk about just that. How do we know if the things that we're pursuing out of hopefully a godly ambition are actually aligned with God's heart for us? And how do we know if we should pursue ministry or not? So anyway, check out this segment from today's call-in section, which, by the way, if you're not partnering on Patreon, you really should consider $6.99 a month. I try to open up these lines every single day to take your guys' call. All right, let's jump into these.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, when you have goals that are kind of set ahead of you and stuff like that, when you're trying to tackle them, I think sometimes a lot of doubt and whatnot can kind of creep in, and maybe wondering, like, am I doing the right thing for the right reasons? All that kind of stuff. And it can kind of create barriers and whatnot. That's kind of something, and I know obviously I read a book on godly ambition, stuff like that. But question being, just kind of more poignant, would just be like, how do you like overcome those sorts of roadblocks? How do you like navigate trying to like overcome those questions and stuff like that? And yeah, that's basically what I got for you. Yeah, it's kind of
and this isn't a gotcha question, but did you get a chance to listen to any of Godly Ambition or read any of the book?
Yeah, not yet at this point. Okay. No, sir. But I'm planning on purchasing the book here in the near future.
Okay, good. I do talk about it in depth on the book, but there's a proverb that I'll read to you real quick, and then and I'll hopefully give you a more thoughtful question. I mean, a hopeful thoughtful answer to your question. So Proverbs chapter 16 verse 2, we just covered this as a daily proverb. It says, all a person's ways seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. So I think that the issue of motives is interesting, right? Because it's like, how do you know if your motives are pure? Proverbs seems to imply that we could be self-deceived, and it's ultimately God that knows the heart, and he weighs the motives. Now, the action step in this, I think it's in verse 3, which is commit to the Lord, whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. And so for me, I think whether or not motives are true or not true or any of that sort of stuff, the issue with that is you don't always know your own heart, and sometimes we can have conflicting motives. So the question is, the answer isn't analysis of paralysis and let me just not do anything. The answer is, hey, let me commit to God whatever it is I'm doing. Let me commit to God whatever you do, and then in that, the Lord will ultimately establish those things, right? It's like praying like it all depends on the Lord, and then working like it all depends on God. I think that's the uncomfortable part for many people, is that it's easier to just not do anything, right? And the reality is, man, you could do good things with wrong motives. You could make mistakes with good motives, but if you're not putting one foot in front of the next every single day, you're going to be in a worse off spot than at least attempting and failing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I think my advice, and I get into this in the book, is like, hey, find an anchor point of what are the things that are in front of you right now that you can be faithful towards, and know that incremental investments lead to monumental advancements. Little simple commitments every single day compound and snowball over time. And this is true with anything. This is true with learning a new instrument, learning a new language, saving, investing, getting out of debt, developing a new skill. It's those little everyday commitments, usually 20 to 30 minutes of commitment every single day, that then compound over time. And so instead of like having analysis of paralysis and searching your own heart and being in this cognitive dissonance of like, is it my heart or is it God's heart? I don't know. What am I supposed to do? It's like, hey, saying, hey, Lord, I'm going to submit this to you, and I'm going to do the inputs. And if it's in your will for me to do this thing, I'm going to ask you to produce the outcomes. Is that helpful?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother. Hopefully I see you March 21st, man. I'm going to let you go get some more calls in.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Logan. John, what's up, man? What's your question and where are you calling from, brother?
Hey, what's up? I'm calling from Alabama. No, I just had a question about someone interested in going into ministry in the future. Do you think a degree in seminary is necessary, or like instead of like a smaller like ministry certificate that some things offer? For example,
no.
like I have
go ahead.
Like kids and a job, so it's kind of hard to go to like an actual master's degree or doctrine, but some things offer like a more lenient certificate degree. That's still a couple of years, but I didn't know how some people viewed
Yeah,
that
totally. Well,
instead of a degree.
yeah. Well, listen, props to you for having a heart for ministry, brother, especially while having little kids. My thought would be this: degrees are good. Seminary is good. But they're just tools. And so if we're going to look at the apostles that Jesus used to start the church, I think it's fair to say they didn't have seminary degrees. I think that it's fair to say they were common, normal folks who were fishermen. Matthew was a tax collector, right? And these were normal guys with normal blue-collar jobs, and yet God used them to completely revolutionize the world. So, like, seminary is a tool, but I don't think it is absolutely necessary versus a heart and a posture that's desiring to learn, desiring to invest, desiring to develop yourself, desiring to study the scriptures. So much of that can be done in non-seminary settings, especially when you have a family and you're like, dude, I don't have the time, the money, the capacity to go and get a seminary degree right now. Like, that's okay. I think you pursue ministry to the capacity you can, and I think God is going to honor that. And again, with so many different tools, online resources, stuff like Logos Bible software, free courses. There's so many ways you can get educated on this stuff. So no, I don't think it's necessary. That's a great question, John. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, brother. I'm gonna let you go and get somebody else in the call. Okay. Hey, David, thanks for calling in. Where are you calling from, and what's your question?
I'm from Salem, Oregon, and my question is this: Ruslan, if you could go back to the beginning of your journey and change one thing from what you know now, what would it be?
Which part of the journey? The YouTube journey, my personal testimony, my walk with Jesus, when I was a baby? which part?
Yeah. What would your first step be from a baby? No, just kidding. Let's go the entrepreneur route.
Oh, okay. Man, that's a great question. You know, I think if I could go back from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I probably would have leaned harder into my faith earlier and being okay with being a Christian YouTuber, a Christian this, a Christian rapper. I ran from a lot of those titles, and some of that was out of fear. Some of that was because I didn't feel equipped to do it. Some of that was because I wanted to what at the time I thought would be more evangelistic. But in hindsight, it was like the more I was open about my faith, the more I was bold about my faith, the more I leaned into scripture and talking about Jesus and trying to connect it to culture, the more the Lord seems to have breathed on all those things. And yeah, so if I can go back, I would have just been more direct about that. I spent a lot of years, especially as a Christian rapper, being very like covert. Like I was like a ninja undercover agent who would go into secular spaces, secular universities, clubs. And, you know, it would confuse the audience there a bit. And it was probably not the most congruent to finding an audience that I can actually help and speak into. So yeah, I would say I'd probably be more direct about just unapologetic. I'm about Jesus. This is what it's about, from both music and then to pivoting to YouTube.
Is it okay if I ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
Do you think that that's because what you do now is like very ministry focused, right? Versus you're just doing a thing and you happen to be a Christian? Like you said before, you were doing the shows and it was confusing for people. Do you think leaning more into the Christian entrepreneur versus just being an entrepreneur in general, would that have changed anything? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, totally. No, because I was always ministry focused in the context of a local church. So even when I was playing at clubs, even when I was touring churches, even when I was making like edgy Christian hip hop music or whatever with the Dream Junkies, all throughout that, I was still super duper active in my local church, in ministry, leading a young adults group, leading a men's group, teaching all the time in a lot of different capacities. And so, yeah, I think that was incongruent. I think my art and what I was offering the world was actually incongruent with who I was on the ground. And I think that created a confusion for the audience, a confusion for myself, a cognitive dissonance within my own heart. And again, the more I said, hey, I'm going to lean into this, because I discovered that actually the thing I spent the most amount of time doing was doing conversations like I'm doing now, connecting current events, connecting these sorts of things to scripture. And I had done that for decades in small Bible studies, in teaching young adults, right? I'd done that way more than I had done anything else. And that's what resonated the most with people when I started doing it online and publicly.
Or just being clear, for sure. No, it's been a great help to me. I started an entrepreneur journey 5 years ago, and your podcast has been just such a blessing to me. So thanks for what you're doing, man, and bringing clarity to it and doing it from the Christian standpoint. It's helpful on a daily basis. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, David. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, Olga. Hey, where are you calling from, and what is your question?
Hi, I'm calling from Washington State, near Portland area. I just want to thank you for all the work you do. It's super encouraging, and I like how you connect everything to the scripture. But my question to you is, because of your cultural background, I feel like maybe you have some understanding of like Slavic background. And something I noticed in the churches that I was brought up in is that maybe there's a lot of legalism and personal convictions are turned into laws. And with the younger generation, there might be like rebellion kind of starting to try, like they don't like some of the things that the churches do. But my question is, how should Christians behave and act in the Christ-like manner in cultures and communities like this? Because I think my church is still part of the body of Christ. But yeah, do you understand my question?
Yeah, no, I do, especially, and I know that region a little bit. Like I've been out there and I've done some stuff with some of the Russian churches and Ukrainian churches. So yes, I do. I have a good gauge of what you're describing. Yeah, I think legalism is so detrimental because, like you said, like it can not ricochet. It can yo-yo people to the opposite extreme. So when you start taking stuff like personal convictions, which there's nothing wrong with personal convictions, but when you start taking those and you make those into laws, it can really do damage on people, right? Because again, we're now not doing the people justice by discerning what is a conviction, what is a non-essential, right? So there are certain things that like absolutely Christians shouldn't be doing, right? Fornicating, looking at porn, so on and so forth. They're absolutely out. But then there's other things that are like wisdom issues, like, hey, should I listen to this type of music, or should I watch this sort of content or this movie or whatever? And when everything is, oh, this is a demon, this is demonic, this is bad, this is sinful, you can really cause people to yo-yo the other direction because you're never actually teaching them how to discern and how to think for themselves. You're just giving them a bunch of rules on top of rules. I actually think it comes from a good place because you're trying to protect people. But I think it often causes more harm than good. So the question for you, the question I would have for you is, well, is this in a community or is this like in your household? Because if like in your household, there's certain standards because you're living with your parents, that's a little different than like if you're in a community that behaves this way. I think in your household, you got to honor your parents and maneuver in the way they're needing you to maneuver as long as you're in their household. When you're up and about and growing up and doing your own thing, that's a bit different. And you might want to explore some other communities and some other fellowship that is perhaps a bit more balanced in some of these things. I don't know. Is that helpful to you, Olga?
Yeah, because like I guess personally for me, I'm fine with our culture and everything like that. But seeing like people wanting to step away and like it just kind of causes like a divide in our church that I don't like. And I wonder like what is the correct reaction when like the culture that we have will probably continue on for some time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that exact reaction. It's very difficult to give like specific generalized advice, right? Because there's so many variables to it. The anchor I would give you is, hey, if this is a part of your household and you're living with your parents, then you probably need to honor them. If you're on your own, I think you could explore and find churches that not accommodate, but they're like more aligned with the scriptures, and aren't drawing hard lines and making things black and white that aren't.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, Olga, thank you so much, sis. What's up, Javi? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. So my question is, I love the book and what you're doing with the book, and it's really a question about I work in ministry, and I would love to transition into doing my own nonprofit. What would be your advice for somebody who's looking to transition into something like that?
Oof, man, that's a great question. Okay, well, first of all, my macro advice would be that you would come and hang out with me in Atlanta for the Godly Ambition Tour, happening May 16th. So you got to go get your tickets for that. Yes, absolutely doing a promo right now
I'm gonna
with
be
you
there.
on the phone. Okay, so go get your tickets now. Man, okay, so the thing about nonprofits is you have to be comfortable with organizing your network. You have to be comfortable with fundraising and talking to donors. And there are people that have a lot of vision and a lot of deficit in those areas. They don't know how to stay organized. They don't know how to ask people to meetings. They don't know how to ask for, hey man, if you do the math, like let's just say to sustain yourself, to do your own nonprofit, to get yourself off the ground. Like my buddy was in Navigators and he had a whole system. He was one of the biggest fundraisers in Navigators. And so he generated, I don't know, it was like a 6-figure budget by just consistently meeting with people, showing him what he's doing, what they're doing, going in for the ask, and then fundraising enough to cover his health insurance, enough to have a solid salary, right? And that requires a skill set that is comfortable with people, is comfortable with casting vision, and is comfortable with asking, hey, I need to make $60,000 a year to cover all my expenses in Atlanta with my health insurance. Therefore, you do the math on that. If you get, enough people, 60 grand a year, that's 5,000 a month, 5,000 a month. You have to get, 50 people to donate $100 a month to you. And so you start doing the math like that, right? And there's entire systems. Navigators is one of them that do just that. Navigators more college ministry, InterVarsity, fellowship with Christian athletes. So I'm giving you their frameworks of how they fundraise. And I think if you want to start your own nonprofit, you first have to sustain yourself before you get into building a whole thing, right? A lot of times people want to build a whole thing and they haven't even built their own sustainable means of like, can I even take care of my bills?
Yeah.
I think that's the most linear route. The other route would be like you have a cause that you just bleed for and other people bleed for, like they and you can use media to build an audience, and then from that you can pivot over and say, hey, we're gonna start this thing and we need your support. I think David Wood is an example of that, where he does his apologetics with Muslims and that sort of stuff. They're using a third party, I can't think of the name right now, that is doing all of the payroll, all of the facilitating, all of the fundraising for them. You guys could go check out David Wood's video on that. But that's someone that has an audience. So there's two different pathways, right? Like you build an audience for your cause, and then you fundraise and ask that audience. You got a way wider net. Or you go super grassroots, one by one. I'm going to go and try to take 200 people to lunch. I'm going to cast a vision. I'm going to tell them why this is important. I'm going to ask them to give $20 to $100 a month to get your ministry or your nonprofit off the ground.
Yeah. No, yeah, that sounds dope.
Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful. And I've been doing that. I think it's just I've hit like some roadblocks in the sense of like, like running out of people. Then you like, you start getting to the middle of that. And so I think it's just I'm in a season where it's just like, okay, we just got to press in some more. So it's just trying to figure out that press in moment of like, we're almost there. Like we're 50% of the way there. How do we get over the hump,
Okay, so tell me this. You're 50% of the way there in terms of having your own budget covered.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going person to person. You're going the grassroots. I'm going to meet with people. Okay.
Yep, exactly. I've been going to person. Okay. It's just like my list is starting to run out type thing.
Yeah, so what I would then do is I would see if there are people that are at your church that maybe you don't know yet, if there are friends of friends that have a heart for ministry and the type of ministry you're doing, those sorts of things, right? And so like I'm a guy that like I was in FCA a little bit, and I tend to meet folks from FCA, and I tend to partner with folks from FCA because I was impacted by it, right? And so if like someone meets me, odds are like I'm going to be a monthly giver to them, right? And I'm not, and I don't even like talking about this sort of stuff because he feels icky to talk about giving. But I bet you there's someone in your circle that will easily connect you with someone in your circle, a current donor that can connect you with other donors to get you that other 50%. But you have to ask. So every meeting should end with, can you partner? If the answer is yes, then can you connect me with someone else that may be interested in what I'm doing and has a heart for it? Now, let me just say this, Javi, it is difficult for different people in different socioeconomic statuses and backgrounds to generate funds this way, right? So you may have really hit your ceiling, and so then you have to get creative with it and say, okay, cool, maybe I do pivot and go to asking other people for help to connect me with other people, or you pivot to the content side and try to cast a wider net.
Yeah, I definitely love what you do, and definitely have been feeling this itch to like see about the content side, and have been curious about that. It's all about making time, and I know you always talk about making your setup sustainable to make the time easier. So yeah, I definitely appreciate everything you do, and appreciate I love listening to your stuff, and a lot of your stuff encourages me. So thank you so much for answering my question.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna let you go. Man, that really is like the highlight of these shows for me. I know you guys are like, oh, Ruslan, you're just trying to push your Patreon. Yep. I want you guys to partner with Patreon. And I think that is a great way to support what we're doing here, right? As my man Javi is trying to figure out ways to expand, we want to expand. We have Hayden that's been with us 2 days a week. We'd love to get him over 3-4 days a week, right? Why? So we can make even better stuff. I want to do more vlogs. We want to do more documentaries. All those things can be funded by you for $6.99 a month. We don't have a massive pool, even though you go to our Patreon and you're like, wow, 10,000 followers. Those aren't paid people. So if you want to partner with what we're doing here, man, consider signing up for $6.99. I try to open up the lines every single day to let people call in and ask their questions. Because ultimately, man, I really believe I'm here to serve the people. I really believe that by the grace of God, I've been able to figure out a couple areas in my life, whether that's family, whether that's YouTube, whether that's spiritual formation, whether that's godly ambition. And I want to extend and open that up to you guys and answering your guys' questions. And maybe by the grace of God, these sorts of calls help compress time for people. Or maybe you hearing a call like this helps compress time for you, meaning you can learn from my scars, you can learn from my mistakes and the wisdom and insight I have. And so if there's one theme that ran through today's show, it's that ultimately motives matter. Sometimes motives are conflicting. We talked about everything from success with Cenat to mental health. We talked about influence and communicating with certainty. We talked about forgiveness, boundaries, godly ambition, and underneath all of it was the same question. What are you actually building? Because you can pursue good things with wrong motives. We talked about that. You can forgive without wisdom. You can chase impact without formation. But scripture tells us that God ultimately weighs the heart, not just the outcome. The how and the why matter to God as much as the what. So whether it's your goals, your career, your ministry, the thing you're trying to get off the ground, the dreams that you have, the invitation remains the same. Align your ambitions, your dreams, your vision with God and not just your appetite, not just your dreams, but get your dreams to be submitted to God's dreams. Oftentimes we hear this verse, he will give you the desires of your heart, right? But we will remove everything before this verse, which is trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him and he will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Waiting, I think sometimes we think is like, hey, I'm just gonna do nothing. I'm just gonna chill. No. Waiting, I think, is active waiting, as if a waiter is waiting to serve the people, right? Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Don't be consumed with what other people are doing and what the world is doing. You wait on the Lord and be patient in waiting for him by ultimately taking delight in him and committing your ways to the Lord. And I think oftentimes we have this question, big question, God, how do I know what God's will for my life is? How do I know what God's will for my life is? Am I supposed to start that ministry? Am I supposed to do this thing? I look at Cenat, he's super famous. I look at what's going on with the crazy situations on the internet and then the Christians in Nigeria. And here's the deal. If you want to know what the Lord's will is for your life, you first have to get aligned with God's ways for your life. You want to know what God's will is? Get aligned with God's ways. And how do you know God's ways? Get aligned in God's word. And so that's the beautiful part about like gluing all this together for us is ultimately, if you're not in the word of God, you're not going to know the ways of God. And if you don't know the ways of God, you're not going to be in the will of God. And so my question is, what are you supposed to be doing right now to align with how God would maneuver in this season of your life? How are you moving? Are you aligned with what God's ways is in your specific situations, family, finances, all these different things? Or are you just kind of winging it, doing your own thing and then sprinkling a little bit of Jesus on it? This is why it's important that we keep coming back to the scriptures. That's why we keep coming back to the Proverbs, keep coming back to the Gospels. And so if you're new here, you don't know what to do, where to start, my advice to you would be, hey, read a chapter of Proverbs a day. It's just super simple. Whatever the day, the month it is, read that chapter of Proverbs. And then 2, start in the Gospel of John, read a chapter of the Gospel of John, and then just keep reading through the New Testament. Hit some Proverbs, hit some Gospel of John, keep reading, develop that spiritual formation. Hopefully you're in a local church that teaches you the scriptures, but if you're not, you need to get in one. And I think within all that, again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to align with God's will. Because the more we're aligned with God's will, the more we're applying God's ways, and God's ways are in God's word. So anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure to smash that like button, all that good stuff. If you want to partner with us, consider Patreon or picking up something from our gift shop over at blessgod.co. You can also check out the tour that's coming up. I can't wait to see Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, DC, New York, Tampa, all the cities, Los Angeles. Can't wait to see you. So all that's on blessgod.co. The link is pinned up below. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow I'm doing a music review stream over on the Bless God Studios channel. And so this video should be redirecting there. And if you want to get your music submitted, all that is pinned up over there on how you can do that. We're bringing back the music reviews, and I might do the singles night stream too. So if you're single looking to mingle, we might bring that back too. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and remember to live a life that blesses God. All right, I'll see you later. Peace.